Hi everybody, it's your boy and welcome to the Everything series, the series where we talk about everything. If you're watching this right now, the wild update is right around the corner. If you're watching this in the future, then the wild update is already here. No matter what, this moment is the best moment to learn more about the Warden. In this week's Everything series episode, it's all about the Warden. From the mechanics behind this thing to surviving the Warden to a little bit of fun facts, it's all right here. If you wouldn't mind, real quick, drop a like and let's go. The Warden, the glorious, the wonderful, the Warden. The Warden is a brand new mob added to the game in Minecraft 1.19. The Warden, apparently it's a little bit shy. There we go, that's a little bit better. The Warden was first shown off at Minecraft Live 2020, about 2 years ago now. That makes the Warden Minecraft's most developed mob ever, with probably more than 2 years in development. Fast forward, the caves and cliffs were split and the Warden was postponed. Later on, at Minecraft Live 2021, the Warden was re-revealed with a much improved ancient city. Fast forward even more to Deep Dark Experimental Snapshot number 1, and the Warden is back. That snapshot dropped earlier this year. Fast forward again, one final time to Snapshot 22 W12A, and the Warden makes it into the game. In-game, the Warden is like literally insane. This thing is a beast. The Warden is technically not a boss mob, but it is the mob that deals the most damage in the game. This mob also deals ranged and melee damage, so very dangerous. If you take this thing out, it's surely rewarding, right? Well, no. 5 experience every single time, and a single skull catalyst. This thing has 500 health as well. That makes the Warden, on Java Edition, the mob with the most health in the entire game. If you had a netherite sword with sharpness 5, fire aspect 2, so basically like the strongest possible sword in survival Minecraft, taking the Warden out would take it 23 hits about. And that is if every hit is a critical hit too. Kind of insane. Now a little bit of height comparison here. The Warden, as you can see, a tall king of the swords. The villager way shorter. The iron golem also shorter. The Warden is pretty big, but his hitbox, not really. It's 1 block wide and 3 blocks tall. That means the Warden can fit into a hallway of the same size, so make your hallway short if you're running away. No pun intended, I'm sure you're not completely in the dark when it comes to the Warden. The Warden is an insanely unique mob. It's not like most other hostile mobs. You won't be able to find the Warden just spawning in your world. You're gonna have to trigger the Warden spawn yourself. And that's a good thing, because wandering around inside of the caves and finding the Warden, that would be like the worst thing of all time. So if you're trying to summon in a Warden, the Skulk Shrieker is entirely where it's at. For some reason, if you're trying to do this, you're going to have to set off a Skulk Shrieker 4 times. On that 4th activation, the Skulk Shrieker will summon in the Warden. So that right there, that's going to be my 2nd activation. Remember, to activate a Skulk Shrieker, it's not just stepping on it though. The Skulk Sensor can kind of like tell on you and report back to the Shrieker. As you can see, I'm getting darkness every single time, and here we go. The 4th Skulk Shrieker activation. That means Warden soon. Right? Well, actually, no. You see, in a way, there are actually 2 types of Skulk Shriekers in the game in 1.19. This is one type right here, and then this type right there, with the can summon tag set to true, is the other type. You can actually see a subtle texture difference here. The Warden will only summon in if the can summon tag is set to true. How do you get that tag set to true? In survival, that's gonna mean a natural shrieker, aka go to the Deep Dark biome or go to the ancient city and find a Skulk Shrieker that is generated. Once you find one, if you want the Warden to summon, don't remove it. You're gonna have to activate it. As soon as you pick this thing up and place it back down, the can summon tag is set to false. So you're going to need a naturally generated Skulk Shrieker to summon the Warden. You're also going to need space. Just like with every other mob in Minecraft, the Warden needs room. I've marked out a square centered around the Skulk Shrieker. The square is 11 by 11. The vertical dimension of the spawning box is going to be 13. Again, centered around the Skulk Shrieker. That's the spawning area of the Shrieker. That means when you activate the Shrieker, the Warden will pop up somewhere within that area if it is spawnable space, and if the light level is less than 11. Finally, you will also need to have no Wardens within 48 blocks of the Shrieker that you're activating. If a Warden is within 48 blocks, Warden spawn will fail. But if you set off one Shrieker at one end of the city, then move quickly over to the other end and set off another one, you can absolutely have more than one Warden spawned in your world at a time. That's not good. The Shrieker's 4 strikes mechanic is linked to the player, meaning if you set one off and then your friend sets one off, that's 1 for both of you, not 2 total. So anyways, at that 4th set off, the Warden... the Warden pops up, and you're going to want to go away. That Warden digging out of the ground animation lasts 7 seconds, about. That's how much time you have to run. First things first, once the Warden pops up into your world, it's going to climb out of the ground and start walking around. It's going to walk slowly around and sniff every once in a while. Just like the Skulk Sensor, the Warden works mainly off of vibrations though. A vibration is essentially something that changes your world. If you'd like to know more about vibrations, the previous episode of the Everything series was all about them. Go check that out after this one. There are a couple different vibration types that the Warden will ignore. The Warden will completely ignore the bat flapping vibration. The Warden will completely ignore any vibrations created by other Wardens. Armor stands, the Warden doesn't care. And death sounds, the Warden also doesn't care. Additionally, if I'm creating vibrations in, let's say, creative mode, the Warden also does not care. But it's not all just vibrations. The Warden also knows when you touch it. If you walk up to the Warden and touch the Warden, it can feel that and it will get mad at you, which isn't good at all. And also, if you're careful, like super careful, more than me, if you're super careful and like still or sneaking around and making no vibrations at all, well, the Warden can still find you. Every 5 to 10 seconds, the Warden will sniff if it can't find any vibrations. When the Warden does this whole smelling thing, the nearest mob within a 20 block vertical range, 6 blocks horizontal range, gets 35 angry points added to the scale. Oh yeah, then the Warden, it's completely immune to fire too. Whether the Warden is mad at you or not, if you're within 20 blocks of the thing, every 6 seconds, the Warden will grant you 12 seconds of darkness. Let's go back to that whole angry points thing, though, that I just mentioned a second ago. What did I mean by that? Well, angry points, or at least what I'm calling angry points, is basically the Warden's system of keeping track of how angry it is at different targets in the world, aka you and other mobs. Really, anything that causes a vibration in the world can be on this scale. And so the scale exists from 0 all the way up to 150. 0 is, of course, good. That means the Warden is calm. It's not mad at whatever's creating the vibrations. On the other hand, 150 maxed out, oh, well, that's terrible. You need to get away from the Warden. It's insanely dangerous. Of course, there are different types of vibrations in the world. We talked about that last episode. Different types of vibrations result in different additions of points to the scale. When the Warden pops out of the ground, technically it's neutral towards everything. It's not mad at a single thing in the world quite yet. 0 points. Let's say the Warden just popped out of the ground, you freaked out, you shot a projectile. Not at the Warden, but like near the Warden somewhere. That would mean 10 points are added to your scale right there. The Warden is starting to get annoyed with you, but 10 points is really not that bad. But let's say, even better, you were far away from the Warden, like more than 30 blocks away from the Warden, and you shot that projectile. Well then actually, you get 0 points on your scale. But let's say you freaked out like double time. Like you shot a projectile, the Warden noticed that, 10 points, and then you shot another one really quick right after that, like within 5 seconds. Well, that actually means 35 points are added to your scale. Now, most other vibrations that you create in the world will actually result in 35 points being added to the scale. So jumping around, just walking around, that's 35 points every single time the Warden hears you. Bumping into the Warden, like just touching it while you're walking, 35 points. Eventually, you'll rack up points over and over and over again, and then you get to 80 points. 80 points is not good. At 80 points, the Warden will roar, automatically add 20 points to your scale for nothing, and then try and attack. Also, keep in mind that if the Warden smells you, that is an automatic 35-point addition as well. So you gotta move. Let's check out this roar, or like as good as we can, because it's sweet. The Warden's animations are like absolutely top tier. So I'm walking around, the Warden hears me, that's the roar, then the Warden added 20 points, and now it's attacking. That's not good. Keep in mind that as you try and flee the Warden, and it keeps hearing you, like run away, then it is also getting more and more angry at you, making it faster and faster. The game has built in a couple different visual and audio cues as to how angry the Warden is. The chest, with the souls inside of it, they beat faster the Warden is. Same with the heartbeat noise, that's gonna get a little bit faster the angrier the Warden gets. Once the Warden screams, it's really all over, but check out the chest, it pulses fast, and the heartbeat of the souls inside of the chest, they're fast too. The Warden has a scale like this for everything in the game, whether it's the player or a mob. Also, the scale is unique to each player, of course. Now, finally, let's say I brought my trusty cow with me to the deep dark. Of course, the cow can't really shoot a projectile or attack or anything like that, but it's going to walk around. That's going to make the Warden mad. Let's say I'm also in the deep dark and I'm moving around. Well, even though the cow has moved more and made the Warden more mad, relatively speaking, the Warden sees me as a little bit more suspicious. Until that cow touched it. Then it was over for the cow. The Warden cares about suspicious vibrations the most, or in other words, vibrations created by players. Another piece of terrible news for us today. How does one soothe the sweet, sweet Warden? Like calm it down, get the scale back to 0, and then eventually get the Warden to despawn? Well, you've got an option. You could die. But that's not all. The angry scale, it will actually decay at a rate of 1 point per second, which means one single arrow shot every once in a while is really not that bad to distract it. Or the game mode switch, but that's cheating. Let's talk about our good friend Despawning though. Eventually, once the Warden is calm and stays calm, it will go away. But it needs to stay calm for 60 seconds. In other words, no vibrations detected for 60 seconds. Once that happens, the Warden will do that whole digging animation you just saw right there, and then go away. If the Warden finds itself stuck in liquid and is calm for 60 seconds, then instead of the digging animation, it will just despawn. The Warden will also despawn eventually if it's in direct sunlight, so that's totally an option. If you just can't resist making noise, no problem. Dig like 200 blocks down to the bottom of your world, clear out an area, and let the Warden despawn that way. When the Warden is digging itself away, it is completely invulnerable, and that digging animation will last 5 seconds. Our next section is all about combat with the Warden. In other words, something that you definitely shouldn't do. Fighting the Warden is a terrible idea. Just don't fight this thing. One single attack from the Warden on normal difficulty will deal 30 damage. That's insane. Absurd. The Warden's attack has a cooldown of 9 seconds and will also disable the shield. So here I am in the deep dark walking around with the Warden. No armor on at all. One attack from the Warden is it. I'm done. I'm disappeared. Here I am again in the deep dark, except this time I've geared up a little bit. I now have full netherite armor. Unenchanted, but full armor. This time, hey, that's cheating. Not yet. We'll talk a little bit more about that sonic boom in a second. You get the point. The Warden is dangerous and full unenchanted netherite. Well, that's fine. This time, I'm fully prepared. Full netherite. Protection for armor on every single piece right here. This is like the best armor in the game, almost. This stuff should be good, right? Yeah, it deals less damage, but this damage is dealt almost continuously. And if you try and run, the sonic boom. Let's talk a little bit about that sonic boom, actually. So, the sonic boom. The sonic boom is the Warden's ranged attack. The Warden's ranged attack completely ignores all armor altogether, and it ignores enchantments too, so it doesn't matter. The sonic boom will also disable shields. If the Warden is mad at you and cannot reach you after a while, it will try the sonic boom attack. The sonic boom attack, once it's started, there's no way to avoid it. Even if you seemingly jump out of the way or something like that, it's unavoidable. Statistically, it might sound like the sonic boom is less dangerous because on normal difficulty, it deals 10 damage, but remember, it ignores like everything, no matter what. That can't be said about the melee attack. Unfortunately for us, the Warden tries to do the melee attack first. The sonic boom is sort of a last resort. So here we have a little bit of a situation going on. We have the Warden right there and then an iron golem over here. The iron golem insists on making noise. It's not good. That's agitating the Warden, clearly. Now the Warden is in attack mode. It did the roar thing. It's going to still try and do the melee attack and then quickly find out that it's just not going to work. Eventually, this iron golem makes a little bit more noise, unfortunately, and the Warden will try the sonic boom. Look at this animation. That is so clean. That's so good looking. Now the sonic boom has a cooldown of approximately 5 seconds. Meaning every 5 seconds the Warden will continuously do a sonic boom until either A, the target gets away somehow, I don't know how you did that, or B, unfortunately the target big rip. This sonic boom attack are clearly insanely overpowered, but I guess there is one good side about this thing. The sonic boom can only hit one target at a time, so targets in the middle, poor pigs, oh wait, never mind, it doesn't matter. Even if the pigs are like up high, maybe more in range, it still doesn't matter. It will only hit one target at a time. Bad news for the sonic boom again. If there's a wall in between, well, will the sonic boom be stopped? Unfortunately, nope. It goes right through the wall too. In fact, the only thing in the entire game that can decrease the amount of damage taken from the sonic boom attack is the resistance effect. So either Potion of the Turtle Master or some type of golden apple. That's all you have. Don't get me wrong, all around the Warden is insanely dangerous. Like, just avoid it. Don't cause this to happen. But honestly, the sonic boom might be the most deadly thing about the Warden. It's bad. This animation though, like every angle of this thing is clean, is good looking. The Warden's chest, what happens right there? Look at this. I mean, the Warden, this is amazing. And look at that. It did it. Go Warden. Think back to the intro of this video. I said the Warden was in development for a long time. Yeah, while it was in development, there were tons of different iterations of the Warden. Now, I actually made a video talking about some of the Warden concepts, not all of them, but some of them. I'll leave a card on screen right now to that video if you want to know more about them. The video is a little bit older and a little bit long, but it does the job of talking about the original Warden concepts. There was one called the Stalker. That's probably my favorite. It's so cool. As a small side note, I would love to see a mod with all of its Warden concepts in the game. If somebody's made that, can somebody please send that to me? If you do, you're like the best person in the world, and maybe I'll make a video on it. And if it's not a thing yet, well, then that's an opportunity. That's a gigantic opportunity for like an amazing mod. If you're familiar with the early concepts, which one is your favorite? Let me know down below. I'm calling this next section of the video Surviving the Warden. Here are some survival tips for surviving the Warden if, unfortunately, you've set it off. If you find yourself in the unfortunate situation that you've set the Warden off, well, then check out the hotbar. The things in the hotbar, some of these things will help you survive the Warden. Alright, so first things first, let's say the Warden is set off and inside of our world. Once the Warden pops up inside of this world, we need to be quiet. The first thing and the biggest thing that you're going to want to do to get away from the Warden is sneak or be quiet. Remember that if you're on top of wool, you can walk. The Warden won't hear you because of wool occlusion, but you need to sneak. You need to get away from the Warden. Getting away from the Warden is priority number 1. If the Warden keeps smelling and finding you, well then projectiles are where it's at. If you shoot a projectile off in the distance and then move and don't keep shooting projectiles, the Warden will actually go investigate that projectile. Now that the Warden is all the way down that hallway, I can actually jump off these blocks and move away. But let's say for some reason projectiles, they're not cutting it. Well then, blocks. Solid blocks are one of the best ways to get away from the Warden. But remember the sonic boom. You're going to need to be quick. The Warden has a vertical anger range of like 15 or so blocks. If you can go towards the center of the city and tower up really high, like something like this, all the way up at the ceiling here, then the Warden should eventually just kind of forget about you. You're too far away from the Warden for it to care. So, sneaking around up here, as you can see, the Warden is down there and very agitated, but it's not sonic booming me or anything like that because, yeah, just too far away from the Warden, so that worked. Or ender pearls. Ender pearls are absolutely amazing. But you have to remember that if the Warden is already really mad at you, it's going to repeatedly sonic boom you. So you're going to need to get really far away. Like, other end of the city far. And maybe have like a golden apple or a totem of undying or two because the thing is dangerous. It will run through the city mercilessly and try and locate you. The ancient city is honestly like a late game thing. Like, you're definitely going to want to prepare for this thing. Bring armor to the ancient city as well, and probably a good weapon too. Hand-to-hand combat, ranged combat, or really just like any type of combat with the Warden is probably not worth it. Technically speaking though, if you find yourself in this situation, top of a tall pillar where the Warden can't boom you or reach you or anything like that, you could sit up here with your bow and just continuously shoot at the Warden until it's gone. Then you jump back into the city, and maybe this time around, you try and be a little bit more quiet. Ideally, never see the Warden, and you'll survive every single time. Next up, we've got a quick rapid-fire question round with questions from you. When I was working on this video, I asked all of you on my Instagram story for your biggest questions about the Warden. Like, does the Warden spawn in peaceful? No, it will not. Will the Warden die to entity cramming? Yes, indeed. Can the Warden swim? Yes and no. It can move through water, definitely, but it can't really actually swim down. So if you find the Warden next to a gigantic ocean, just swim down until you get boomed. Why does the Warden have antlers? Well, you see, it's simple. Because. How far can we drop the Warden? Ah, yes, this is a really good question. So this dirt block is 100 blocks above that ground right there. Let's go ahead and drop a Warden and see what happens. Will it survive? It will. 100 blocks does not take the Warden out. Great. All right, well, no big deal. We'll go ahead and double it. 200 blocks. There's no way the Warden survives this one. 200 blocks all the way above that thing. Catch up to the Warden, and the Warden will still survive that. That's wonderful. How are we supposed to kill it to get the drops? That's the thing. You don't. The big idea here with the Warden is avoidance, stealth. You stay away from this thing. The drop, one single skull catalyst, it's not really worth it. And finally, somebody just said apple, which, I don't know, it's kind of a vibe. I kind of liked it, so, apple. And so that's it. Everything to know about the Warden, the mechanics, and everything to do with it. Oh, wait, what's that? That's not in? Bonus round? Bonus round. The Warden. Some fun facts about it. Big shout out to you if you made it to this point in the video. So, you can stop the Warden from spawning around the Skulk Shrieker. Maybe you want to keep one Skulk Shrieker in your world just so you can check out the Warden if you ever wanted to. Well then, light. Of course, you can put light all around the Skulk Shrieker. If you replace most of the floor blocks around the Skulk Shrieker with some kind of light block, maybe glowstone or something, you'll be good. Get that light level to something like 12 all the way around the Shrieker. You want to flex your knowledge about the Warden? Well, I got you. King B-Dogs, one of the Warden's main developers, stated that in his chest, those things are souls. It's a big part of its lore. Nowadays, in Minecraft 1.19, we have 3 numbered music discs in the game. The brand new 5, 13, and 11. 11 is the big one. According to King B-Dogs, the Warden is partially inspired by the monster sounds at the end of disc 11. Terrifying, indeed. And finally, the Warden, yes, the blind, not so huggable giant. So the Warden's whole thing is it's blind, you know, it sees in vibrations, basically, and smells. So, well, let's check it out. Let's spectate the Warden Oh, wait, it's a lie. The Warden actually just wants attention. It's a hypochondriac and a liar. And so that's it. Everything to know about the Warden. Minecraft's newest, strongest, toughest, not a boss mob. The Warden easily in my top 5 favorite mobs. I love the horror vibes of this thing. It's so cool. I've made a lot of videos on the Warden. If you want to check out more Warden videos, here are some thumbnails that you should look for. Huge thank you to my wonderful patrons, Bill Geek, Medical Boomstick, Swoopy Louvers, and Noodleport. Thank you so much for the support. Helps me make content like this. If you enjoyed it, like. If you're new, subscribe. What topic would you like to see in the next one? Let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching. This has been me, your boy. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.